So this is the lamp card of the Halloween Oracle, and it is Remembrance. I'll also be doing the Midnight card after this one. So we see in this card old style lantern in a purple frame window with jack-o'-lantern sort of faded out in the background like it's further away from the window. Lanterns to me are sort of like a guiding light or to help show you the way, of course to help you see at night, to find your way in the darkness. The purple frame kind of reminds me of the whole idea of the purple door to show you where a witch lives. Purple in itself is sort of like a magical color too. And then the jack-o'-lantern in the back there, that's sort of like we've gone over before. It's sort of protection to ward off evil spirits. And then light in itself is help us see better, but also help light the way and enlightenment and all that. Light definitely seems to be a theme throughout this deck, which is interesting. It sort of reminds me of these lanterns, these camping lanterns we had. We'd use them camping sometimes, but we mainly use them for when we had power outages. But it kind of makes me want to go camping. To me, it would sort of say make sure that you're prepared for things. But it also sort of reminds me of the whole leaving a light on to find your way home or for somebody else to find their way home. So in a sense, it's sort of almost sort of inviting. But with the jack-o'-lantern there, you also want to be protective. So sort of inviting in the good but warding off the negative. It could also be relying on your own inner light. So anyways, let's see what the book has to say. So it's a lamp, which is remembrance, and the little poem is, I light a single candle within a lamp for you, a single flame in the darkness that reflects my heart so true. Whilst it is a tradition to carve a jack-o'-lantern to scare away the spirits, it was an older tradition still to light a candle or a lamp on Halloween night and leave it at the window as a loving guide home for those who have passed, both as a symbol of remembrance and also as a kind of leaving the lights on for those who may wish to come home. The lamp was left to illuminate the night and perhaps even sadness that was felt because of the passing. This card reminds us that it is a positive thing to remember those who have passed by celebrating their life rather than mourning their death. For those with whom we did not have an easy relationship or even those we did not like, leave us with valuable lessons. Sometimes we learn more from our nemesis than we do from our friends, so that we can live them more clearly and fully. So this is a kind of an interesting way, an alternative to the jack-o'-lantern. This idea of leaving a light on in the window is something I've heard of before. For some reason, I associate that more with Yule or Christmas. I don't know why. But I like this line here, so the darkness can illuminate our strengths and our true values so that we can live them more clearly and fully. I kind of like that idea. So let's see what the next card has to say. So this is the Midnight card, and it says, the most magical hour of all. So in this card, we see a light-haired woman who's dressed in a long black low-cut dress and a sort of see-through transparent shawl, and she's wearing a clock set to midnight around her neck. She's looking upwards with her hand, I think, sort of shielding her eyes almost in a way. I'm not sure, unless she's looking at something in her fingers. I'm not 100% sure about that. And behind you there is another clock which looks very similar to the one that's around her neck, also set to 12 midnight. And there's some sort of transparent glowing gears in the background there. So the black dress is sort of making me, obviously it's supposed to be associated with like the darkness at nighttime, but also it makes me think of like a little bit of mystery or absorption. Black is good at absorbing things. The clock, just, you know, basic time. It's a measurement of time. And midnight. Midnight, of course, makes me think of the witching hour. And it's the end of one day and the start of another, so it's a transition time. It sort of reminds me of Big Ben or kind of Doctor Who a little bit too. It kind of makes me think of paying more mind to or acknowledging midnight or other times of day more. Being more aware of the magic or the energy of the moment, or the everyday type of magic, like the transitioning from one day to the next. It sort of reminds me of Cinderella, I guess, too. And then the glamour of Cinderella and how things are not always as they appear. Maybe also along those lines, giving people time to show you who they are before making quick judgments. I don't know. Let's see what the book has to say. So it's midnight, which is supposed to be the most magical hour of all, and the little poem is, "The dark, it envelops me, the witching hour awaits, true magic and enchantment, and spells that change fates. The middle of the night, midnight, is the hour in which it is believed that ghosts, witches, ghouls, and magic are most likely to be active. Transition times, such as noon, the time between tides, or even dark moon, are traditionally powerful times for magical transformation. In some Christian traditions, the witching hour is seen as 3 a.m. because it is the opposite to the time that Jesus is said to have died, at 3 p.m. But there is some consensus that midnight is the time of greatest magic, particularly around Halloween. As soon as a clock strikes midnight on Halloween, it is said that the spirits flow forward through the veil, and if benevolent, bring positive messages. If not so benevolent, they are mischievous and play tricks at the best, or at worst, cause havoc. Allow yourself to relax into the benevolent darkness of midnight. You may feel that this is your darkest hour, but know that the light will return again. The dawn always follows the darkest night. Know too that it is important to recognize that we all have darkness within us, just as we have light, and this isn't something to hide from." So that's kind of interesting. I didn't know that about the 3 a.m. Christian tradition idea. That was different. I do like the idea of marking transition as a powerful moment with this card. But also I like the line, allow yourself to relax into the benevolent darkness of midnight. And of course that we all have darkness inside us, just as we have light, and that's nothing to hide from, like it says in the last line here. So yeah, I like that card too. It's a beautiful card.